Got it. It's redirecting. I have people coming on now. I have Professor Clark. I have Rachel Gerson's coming on.
Aw.
So other people are coming on right now. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute the stream, and then I'll hit. Hello, Professor Clark.
Hey, hello.
Hello. We're gonna be starting in a minute, and then we'll do a little modification. Sunday, you'll still do the welcome everyone, but I'm gonna have you pass the mic to Professor Clark,
Yeah.
and so you can give a little update on things on Innovation Lab, and then I'm gonna start recording now, and you're on, Sunny.
All right. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech School. My name is Sunny. I'm the CEO of Black Logics. And Black Logics is geared towards aiding companies in the landscaping industry. And through customer discovery, we found that general contractors and subcontractors invest over 72 hours a week, bidding projects or locating material, only to find out that they can't bid on the project due to budgeting, or either they have to undercut themselves and drop out of the project. So at Black Logics, we connect those customers with companies that are producers that can source material for them, getting them prices as close to cost as possible, and making them more competitive in the industry so that they can perform with confidence. And with that said, I'm going to pass it on over to Dr. Clark, and he's going to talk about the Innovation Hub.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Sam Clark. I'm a director of entrepreneurship at the Innovation Hub at Cal State San Marcos, and just wanted to let everybody know about our upcoming event on December 8th. We have a quick pitch competition, and so you can find more information at the CSUSM Innovation website, and you can register for that if you're a student or if you're somebody in the community interested in seeing what's going on. Come join, be in the audience, and help us with the competition. The audience is going to vote on the winners, and so we'd like to welcome everybody to that event on December 8th at 6 p.m. at the Innovation Hub at Cal State San Marcos.
Thank you, Professor Clark. Thank you, Sunny, for welcoming everyone. We've been doing kind of these speaker series, especially over the summer. We had Rolanda was doing the speaker series. We're gonna have these different topics, but the pitch competition and pitching, Briana, is so crucial for all the founders, and you know that.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving some more fine tuning what presenting is and presenting to the audience. I have some questions from other people who can come, but I'll save those for later. But I'm gonna just give the floor to you, and you're already screen sharing, so you're set.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. I wanted to begin by saying Happy Veterans Day. So thank you so much to all of our veterans and their commitment to our country. So today I'm going to be going over just some brief keys to presenting in my Pitchdeck 101 presentation. Okay, let me make sure I can do this right. There we go. All right, so nice to meet you. I just wanted to give you guys a little background on me. So I graduated high school from the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts. To get into that school, it was kind of like fame or victorious. So yes, there were people running around in cat suits and leotards, and me being a part of the theater nerd squad, practicing monologues during our lunchtime. It was definitely a free-spirited type of place, but this is really important to the rest of the presentation. So my major was theater arts. I was a drama major, but I also did a lot of technical theater as well. But my specialty in theater were monologues. So I'll talk about that a little later. So then moving forward, I founded Citizens Hive. In between high school and college, I really was wanting to help out the senior community. I just so happened to fall into the caregiving field. And when I did, I saw so many things just kind of going wrong, right? And so what I did was I sat back and just created this idea of this utopia, which is Citizens Hive. So what Citizens Hive is, it's a platform that's going to connect local and available caregivers with seniors in need and keeping seniors within their homes and getting the care that they need in order to thrive in that place. So yeah, and then in 2021, I finally graduated Cal State San Marcos with my degree in business management and entrepreneurship. So that's a little bit about me. Now, here are a few of my achievements. Now, I put these in here not to like, flaunt or pat my back or anything like that, but it's really just to show you that the opportunities are endless when you step out of your comfort zone, right? So I do want to note that all of these different things that I was able to achieve all happened this year and within months of one another. So the first one I'll talk about is the Founders Live San Diego competition. I was able to pitch my Citizens Hive idea to a live audience, and they were able to vote right then and there. I had some amazing competitors that I was able to win that competition with just my pitch alone. And then a team and I from Cal State San Marcos, we were able to be a part of this amazing innovative challenge with the National Security Innovation Network. And with that, we were able to build a cybersecurity system for autonomous vehicles in the military sector. And you guys saw my background. I have no technical skills in there whatsoever, but I was able to find the problem and create a solution. And with that solution, we were, again, competing against amazing ideas, amazing universities like Harvard, MIT, some crazy talented people who are in the tech space, and we were still able to win with a pitch deck alone. And then this next one was a competition to create a product at Cal State San Marcos in the Innovation Hub. So thank you, Dr. Clark, for creating that. And we were able to create this product called Rise Up, which is a resource for people who are looking for any type of food or housing if they're facing those insecurities. So again, all of these things were months apart, but I would have been able to achieve those things if I didn't step outside of my comfort zone. Okay, so today we're talking about pitch decks, right? So what is a pitch deck? If you're in the business space, then you already know, but I'm just going to go over it really briefly. And a lot of these things are just some things that I've learned from curling, which have been awesome. So there are three major components to a pitch deck, right? There's the problem, your solution, and the ask. Now, with the problem, you need to make sure that you are captivating your audience, right? So you're going to turn the first 30 seconds into 30 minutes. Now, how you're going to do that is you're going to either show a stat or show some evidence that the problem is actually existing, right? And then you're going to follow up with your solution. And you're going to hit them with this one-liner that is so powerful that it's going to stick in their mind right after you're done presenting or speaking about your idea or your product. And then you're going to go into how it works and the business model, just giving them a real brief understanding of what this innovative idea is. And then you're going to follow up with that ask, because there's a reason why you're pitching to this person, right? You need something from them, or you need that validation that your product is something that they could use. So what do you need? Whether that is money in order to advertise, or it's software development, or you're looking for a co-founder, you need to have that ask at the end of that pitch to make sure that your needs are met, because a closed mouth never gets fed. But it all begins with turning the first 30 seconds into 30 minutes and keeping them wanting some more. So like I said, I have a theater background. My specialty is the monologue. So when I think of a pitch deck, I think of this as your personal monologue, right? This is your monologue for your fascinating idea. This is for your passion project, right? But you need to create a captivating story that's going to keep them in, and again, keep them wanting to learn some more from you. So here are some key things in order to create that monologue, right? So you want to open up with a strong punchline. Now, this punchline, again, is going to go back to either the evidence or creating a story, but you want this to also have an emotional attachment, right? So whether you're in the tech space and you're like, man, don't you hate it when you're on Microsoft Word and it freezes? Or you have sticky keys and you have J's going across your screen. See how that has like a negative connotation to it and something that, can bring up like, yeah, man, that really does get frustrating. You want them to have this story that aligns with your product or idea, but something that can stick with them and they can resonate with it emotionally as well. You want to also logically roadmap your speech. Now, a lot of times you think that you have this amazing idea, but you need to make sure that it goes in the problem solution format, right? You don't want to start off with this amazing solution because people are going to be like, well, I don't need that. I don't even know what that's for, really. So you need to make sure that you're very particular on how you roadmap your speech. And then you need to understand the subtext of your tone. Now, again, this goes back to theater, right? So when in my theater class, what you do is when you have a piece of text or a monologue or a scene in front of you on the script, you break down every single word, every single line. Everything is said for a reason. And the way that it is written like that for a reason, right? So you need to understand the subtext of your tone and the words that you are using towards your audience. So if you are, making everything sound like a question, or if you're, making everything very like blunt-ended, that's going to come across to your audience that you don't know what you're doing, right? You don't understand your product at all. That is the worst thing that I hear often, is making everything a question. So really practice and maybe listen to yourself so that way you understand the subtext of your tone and understand how you're coming across to your audience. And my fourth little tip is to use the language of your audience. Now, if you're talking to someone who is in the tech space, you're going to want to use the language that they use on a daily basis, not only to connect with them, but to show that you have done some research, that you have looked into their background. And that way you can also, if you're giving them that ask, if you're asking for some technical services, you are able to use their language and, completely portray what you need from them. Oops. Oh no, I think I did something wrong. Hold on.
No, you got it. I was still taking notes. It gave me a little time. It gave me time to catch up with the notes. It looks good, Briana.
Thanks. Okay, is it back on? We're good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay. So then going into it, we're going to go into the rehearsal, right? So rehearsing is huge when you're going to present anything, whether this is a school project or your passion project, or even an idea for a business that you're currently working with, right? It's not only going to help you in the presenting format, but it's also going to build your confidence and build your character. Because at the end of the day, if you're speaking to an investor, what people don't tell you is that the investor isn't just investing in your product, they're investing in you as an individual. They're investing in your work ethic and, the confidence that you have. So my tips on that are to really create and practice an entire script, but only memorize the bullet points. Now, Curling had mentioned this to me a few times. He's like, don't memorize the whole thing, just the bullet points. So that way, you understand your roadmap. But if there are any interruptions, like I have a 2-year-old who loves to come on screen with me all the time, and dogs that love barking at everything that passes by the front of my house. But if I did not remember those bullet points, then I wouldn't be able to just hop back into my conversation and keep the flow going. Another thing is to practice the entire pitch with others prior to the big day. Now, when I say others, I mean practice in front of grandma, right? If grandma can understand your product and resonate with your product and think about your product after you are done with that presentation, that means you got it, right? Break it down so that way everyone and anyone can listen to it and want to buy in. And just remember to take a deep breath and remember that you got this. No one knows your products. No one knows your idea. No one knows how passionate you feel about this but you, right? So just take a step back and just remember, you got this, okay? And so here are a bit of the key takeaways that we talked about throughout the presentation. So 1, opportunities are endless when you step out of your comfort zone. So whether it's getting involved on campus, which I will take some time to talk about that. So I did not get involved on campus. I was at Cal State San Marcos from 2013 to 2021, and I didn't get involved on campus until 2020. That is one of my biggest regrets of all time, was not stepping out of my comfort zone and really taking advantage of what the school had to offer. So that was being a part of the Innovation Hub. Again, thank you, Professor Clark, for getting me into that. And also, just being a part of the Entrepreneurship Society, I was able to build this amazing network, an amazing group of friends. And it was only because I was able to just take that leap and go into the unknown. Turn your first 30 seconds into 30 minutes. So make sure that that first line of your pitch is captivating. Make sure that they're going to be wanting more. They're going to want to ask questions. You're going to want to have them, grab a cup of water and sit down next to you so they can learn a little bit more about what you have to offer. And then create a captivating story. So again, you want that big one-liner to be so enticing that they stay with you, but your story map needs to be captivating throughout, or else you lose them, right? So the average pitch deck for just presenting an idea is about 5 to 7 minutes, maybe. So you want to make sure that they are in there, they are involved, they are actively listening for that entire 5 to 7 minutes. And then finally, you're going to have to do that rehearsal, whether it's, what I like to do, honestly, is record myself on my phone. So that way I can hear the subtext of my tone, right? And I can hear how I sound and how fluid my speech is. Yes, it's very cringy. It does make you uncomfortable, but it is a big step to really understanding how you sound, right? And then from there, I will present, my presentation to myself on Zoom. You can record things, you can record it over and over and over again until you feel like it's perfect. And that's the one that you're gonna, take some notes from, right? Then go on to presenting to your peers, your friends, your family. I can't tell you how many times I have presented my pitch deck to my family members. I was pretty sure they were tired of me, but I got all the way up to great grandma, and great grandma was able to understand my product and understand my mission. And once I did that, I was like, okay, boom, I'm ready to go. But by doing that rehearsal and making sure that everything is in line and memorizing those bullet points and not the speech, you're going to build your confidence and build character. So, thank you.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the whole your pattern. You kept the whole theme of the notebook.
Yes.
And the IKEA phone.
Yep.
I told you earlier, Jonah Robinson said she loved how the deck looked and everything. Great job, Briana. I want to unpack some stuff. Is that fine?
Yeah,
I want to unpack a few things. So thanks for giving me that time too. My buddy Alex is on. Alex Ken. So everyone on the audience, you guys can, if you want to unmute yourself to ask some questions to Briana, that's fine. Or you can even chat, put it in the chat piece to ask questions for Briana too. I had some questions already because some people gave me questions to ask you. I'll start there first, Briana, and then I'll ask mine. But keep the deck up because I want to unpack a few different things just to see your methodology too. And Jonah Robinson, if you want to ask any questions, let me know too. The first question, I think it was more on, I think you answered part of it already on your methodology. I felt like this was like a TED Talk, Briana. It was like at that level, right? TED Talk's like 11, 12 minutes. It's like it's right to the point that you told your story in that part here. One of the questions was like, is there any other videos that you've seen just in theater or something like that, videos or maybe an article or something that people could maybe watch or read that has this theater element? Because there's a lot to it. I went to USC, #1 film school. A lot of my friends were theater, and some of the classes they had was just like get in touch with yourself, understanding that, like it was like really deep stuff. But when they presented for stuff, it I felt like there was more behind it, right? But is there anything, and this is more on the theater side or presenting side, that you've seen like, you know what, Curling, I can see a founder watching this video or reading this article on how to present or certain things of how to carry yourself. That was one of my first questions offhand.
No, honestly, I haven't seen anything where, they tie presenting into theater work or anything really based in theater work that has like resonated with me. Like coming from a theater school, I've had some amazing instructors who had worked in the theater space. So they were kind of like my idols while I was going through high school. But that's really where I get a lot of, my methodology from, was just my time in theater and just really trying to ground myself and connect myself with the material. So yeah.
And I love that part too, because I haven't seen it at all, Briana. So that's why we were so intrigued on this part. I feel like this video would be one of the resources I give to the founders, especially the Connect All groups and things of that nature. Can you go to that one slide, the monologue?
Yeah.
One that said the monologue. I want to understand one piece there, and you'll help me answer some questions. But like Alex, Professor Clark, Joanna, if you guys have some questions, you can even Stuart, anyone from Corey, you guys can all unmute yourself on that. So on this monologue piece here, the one thing I was just thinking about is actually. You said two things that resonate with me. One, this punchline, right? Doing it is when I was looking at what that is for us, like at Fokcus, I was like, okay, what is my punchline? Is it like, I was really thinking about that. Is there a methodology on how you choose what punchline? Like we could say for Fokcus, it's just like a lot of startups do fail, right? They have this huge 90%. So, but we have so many punchlines we can choose with Fokcus, but is there a way that you can kind of measure what would be a good punchline at the beginning or of something of that nature?
Yeah. So like I had said in my presentation, you'd want to have something that's going to have, an emotional connection to it.
Okay. That's true.
And so like for me, for Citizens Hive, one of the big major like taglines for me is transforming the senior care experience for everyone.
Okay.
Right. So when people see that, they're like, for everyone. So I'm included, my grandma's included, my mother's included. Yeah. And that, brings that sort of like family love, warmth type of emotional connection to it. So I feel like, a lot of times, especially in business, it's like people don't really think too much about the emotion that is, connected to a product or a service. And we're human beings. That's what we play from. That's how we function, is through emotion. And so making sure that that punchline has that, I think is what's going to, really want people wanting to come back for more.
So that the way if you had some sort of spectrum, right? I always use, but it's, if you get this kind of emotional connection, you're close to it, right? And maybe as you're rehearsing it, you're gauging how people connect with it and get feedback that way.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Like I said, just keep rehearsing it and keep throwing that out to your peers, your family, your grandparents, everyone, just to, make sure that that punchline is effective.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I'm on this, I never heard of a pitch being like this monologue, right? So it really got me just like really thinking about like what does that look like? I had friends that actually were doing. How you doing, Alex? Alex, he's on camera. Alex, if you have any questions, let me know. Alex is really great at presenting.
Thank you.
When I see them do their solo kind of, usually at USC they always have to do kind of like this kind of recital type of thing, Briana, and it's like this solo monologue. It was always just touching, right? They would have some, and they're just on their stage by themselves, black background, they're wearing, and it's just them, right? You probably know that, right? And so when you said monologue, that's what my head went to. I was like, whoa, how can we have that type of monologue for some of these founders, even like you, right? Like, what does that kind of look like? Have you thought about even just like the settings of like the visual aspects of what person wears or anything like that when you're presenting something? Or Does that come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I typically like to just like within the theater space, usually like if you're in a black box, I think that's what you were describing.
Yes, I
So if
was.
you're in a black box theater, you would always wear, I don't know why, but most times you wear either black or white. It's always a solid color.
Okay.
So that way the audience can only focus on you and your words. You don't want anything too distracting. I had to do a similar type of thing when I was graduating as like our senior project. We had to do a series of like 5 monologues in a row.
Wow.
And then the teachers would like choose, which one went in whatever order. So you just had to be prepared. But yeah, I would say, just keeping everything really plain behind you, especially on Zoom, you can play with that a little bit more.
Yes.
If you're in person and you're in like an office space, you can't really handle your, surroundings too much, but just making sure that you are plain and that way they can focus on your words only.
I love it. Alex, do you have any questions or feedback with Briana?
I have a couple quick comments to Briana. I just love your confidence and peace in delivery. You're just such an easy person to listen to because of your peace of mind. You have this calmness that makes everybody else kind of be still and listen. And a lot of people doing pitches are very nervous and they're agitated and they make everybody else nervous. So I just love your peace. It's like a river that's flowing, and it's just so you just want to lean in and take a drink of water because you're just so peaceful. That. And one thing that I really like a lot is the idea of a punchline. And in the business models that I've been working on, we have to kind of continue to crystallize and fine tune and focus from a executive summary to a pitch deck, and then but to get it down to a punchline, to the essence of the 1 or 2 words or the phrase that is the primary focus of the emotion you're trying to convey to your audience or to your customer or to your investor. If they can walk away with just one emotion, like how does this make me feel? I think that's where your peace comes from, because you knew from the very beginning what your emotion was going to be in the presentation.
Yeah.
Therefore, you were able to communicate that. And it really helps me to crystallize my thoughts in terms of my communication and what am I trying to convey as the final emotion. So thank you. That was really good. I've never heard the punchline idea, but I love it because it makes me crystallize my ultimate idea.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. I never knew exactly like how I made someone else feel. So I really appreciate that you brought that up to me. So thank you.
You're a cool drink of water.
I love that. And it was always the imagery. Alex, I know offhand you presented a lot too. Any like one or 2 tips? Your presentation has always been great for me too. Like you have a tip for us on that you can give us?
I just I've been doing so many different pitches and presentations and different things like that, but this is really fascinating to me what Briana did in terms of just helping me organize the one idea I want somebody to come across. I mean, you look at comedians that kind of set up a joke.
Yeah.
And then, I used to love Robin Williams because he always set me up for that punchline. Yeah. And you wait for it but you've also heard people tell jokes and there is no punchline. So there is no laughter and there is no takeaway because they didn't deliver it correctly. But if the whole goal is to get them to that punchline, that they go, wow, I totally get it. And everything else is just set up for that punchline. Every other 15 pages of the deck are to get them to that punchline. Then you can move away and start to move from the punchline and expand your deck that way. Like you said, 30 seconds, we get to 30 minutes. And I think once you get the punchline, then everything else is just filling in the spaces. But a lot of people fill in the spaces and then get the punch. So it kind of works both ways, but ultimately you've got to get to that punchline. And that's going to help me a lot with all of my presentation.
I love that. That's great feedback. I love Robin Williams too. I was talking to Joanna about that. So there is this element to Briana when you're on stage that like I'll take one of your points right here, right? 3, right? That you're using a certain tone, right?
Mhm.
When you're rehearsing that, and it's going back to like this, creating this mood, right? Are you using certain tones, and then you're seeing how maybe your grandmother or someone else is if that resonates with that person, or how do you go about that part?
Yeah, so I just do this naturally. I
Okay.
don't know how, but like when I'm presenting to different people,
Yeah.
I phrase things in a different way, or I will maybe add an inflection or a question where I wouldn't with other people. And
Ah,
that's really just testing the waters for me to see what was effective and what wasn't. And then I wouldn't include, the negative things into my final presentation.
sure.
Um, but I think it really just ties back into writing out my entire script,
Okay.
highlighting those bullet points, and then really, so what you do in book work in theater is you would have everything kind of like double spaced, right? And then
Okay.
under each line, you'd be like, what I'm really trying to say here is this, right?
Ah.
So that way, when you're saying that line of text, it comes across as, the subtext, the true meaning behind the words.
Can you give an example of that one, Brianna?
Yeah. Let's see. Like in my pitch deck, or is it, or in like in a theater instance?
It could be either or, but I never heard that concept before. About that having,
Okay. Um,
but it could be in your pitch deck too. I know you have that
yeah,
seventy
I'm trying to
percent
think.
people are depressed. I remember that line in your pitch
Hmm.
deck.
Yeah, so yeah, if I were to start with like the first part of my pitch. So 40% of seniors that go into nursing homes experience depression, right? So the way that I say that, if I wanted to have a more heavier tone, I'd be like 40% of seniors that go into nursing
Mm,
homes experience depression.
yeah, got
Period.
it,
If I
got it.
wanted to make it a question, then you just kind of like inflect on the end,
Sure.
and then it'd be like, they're gonna be like, what? Like, is it 40%? Are they actually experiencing depression? So it's like the two ways that you say things can be conveyed to people in a different light.
And
So just understanding your tone.
And under that 40% people have that experience depression.
Mhm.
What line did you put under it to remind you that, or was there
I
something like that?
so for me, I always connect things to my personal life.
Okay.
So I put in the people that I helped. So I put Bill, Gus,
Ah,
my
got it.
great
Nice.
grandfather. I was like, they could possibly be part of this 40%.
Ah, I love that. That's right. So you
And
got
so,
emotion.
I want that one piece to be like, like if I were to send my loved one to a nursing home, like you never know if they could be a part of that 40%. And it sits with you a little heavier than it
It
would if
does.
I would to frame it in a question or in a light mood.
That's interesting you say that because now I understand why you're so authentic because you're real because you're experiencing emotion as we are too.
Mhm.
So that's powerful. That's very powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I like having that double spacing and you're putting under there maybe how you connected with that line so it's authentic like Alex says. Okay, I'm definitely gonna use that. The other question I have too, and maybe you can go to that rehearsal um,
Mhm.
um, slide offhand. I think it is the next one, right? You had that build confidence, build character. That confidence one is so. That's the question I actually have too, right? I had like about 4 meetings this week, and this whole theme came up for some of the meetings were about kind of imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
right? Like should I pitch there or am I ready for this or such? It's like it's confidence piece. Is there some sort of we'll call it some life hack offhand, Brianna, like before you're presenting, to help some of our founders just with their confidence when they're going on stage or something like that? Is there something that you do on with theater that helps out with that process other than just maybe repetitive rehearsal? Maybe it is rehearsing a
Mhm.
lot so you actually know the content that well, but yeah, that's one of the other things I had a question on.
Yeah, so this actually goes back. to 2020, really. It was when I was like, why not? I literally had a sticky note on my mirror and it said, why not?
Got it. Nice.
And it's just like, there's so many things in life that, you're afraid of because you're like, oh, I'm not qualified. I shouldn't apply for that job. Oh, I shouldn't be talking to that person because,
Sure.
I'm a servant. I shouldn't be trying to engage in conversation with my client. Why not?
Yeah.
The only thing that you're going to get out of it, even if it's a positive or negative experience, is a lifelong lesson. So why not just go into the unknown and just go for it? I've noticed, like, for me, especially with Citizens Hive, I was really afraid of pitching to investors or pitching to, just even people when I'm trying to recruit them as far as being like a co-founder or anything like that.
Sure.
And then I just kept thinking back, like, why not?
Yeah. That's great.
If anything that happens is, oh man, I got to practice a few more times in front of strangers.
Yeah.
That is, either like, did I get the money? Maybe not. But I was able to practice in front of, people who were making millions, or I was able to practice in front of these complete strangers who were looking at me like, okay, girl, but I was able to have that lifelong lesson to put into my pocket and carry it with me to the next person. So
that's great.
Everyone grab a sticky note. Why not?
Yeah, why not? We could put it on there. I'm gonna use that for some of my sessions too, because I always want founders to have this ability to, this culture of learning, right? You have to learn, right? But one way you can learn is experiment and just put yourself out there, because you're gonna either like succeed, right? You might get that initial connection or investment, or maybe just that partnership, or you're going to learn from it, like you were saying, right? You actually learn from it, and it helps your confidence, right? It's going to help you each part of that. So that's great. So I'm going to use that. Why not? So it's good. That's good. That's going to be my punchline when people tell me. Like,
why not? I just like people who, were just joining the entrepreneurship society, or like, were interested but didn't want to go to a meeting. I'm like, why not? All of our meetings are beneficial. Why not? Just take the time. Don't look at anything as a defeat. And, I think that that's what builds my confidence so much, is just never truly feeling defeated, because at the end of the day, again, I have a lesson I can take with me that I wouldn't have otherwise. So
there was this thread in there offhand where it was saying that opportunities are endless. Did you have a mentor that helped you with that, or how did you get that like pearls of wisdom offhand? Because I wrote that down a couple of times, Briana.
Honestly, it was just my mom. Because anytime that I was hesitant to do anything, or I would tell her about an experience, she's just like, again, why not? But the opportunities are endless if you step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So you get to, like, everything kind of ties together. So as soon as you step out of your comfort zone, you get to take away that lesson, build your confidence, build your character, and, ultimately create this well-rounded being that you would want to be in life.
So if I was gonna tweet that out, Briana, I can put opportunities are endless. Briana Cordova's mom.
Yeah.
Because that was like solid. My dad always said too, is like how he taught us a lot was that he would take me to business meetings and meet people and things of that nature. He would actually give me that opportunity to see these type of things, right? Even though I might not have been more into when I want to do sales or other things, but he would actually in some ways instill that opportunities are endless. But like exposed me to a lot of different things, even things that he wasn't really into, right? But he would expose me, and my mom would always expose me to the arts, right? And so I had this great balance of like all these different things I could actually do. And I kind of learned a little bit more on the fact that I might not be comfortable in that. Like, I'm not an artist, but I learned a lot from artists. I had a J. Paul Getty fellowship. Because of what my mom kind of taught me, like art and creativity does help you, and so I think my mom and your mom would totally get along on all that. because it's actually important for us as founders to, I know, be comfortable to being uncomfortable, right? This is a ability there. I know Alex can attest to that. I know I have the cohort. If you guys have some other questions too, I did have a few more other questions, but Sunny, Stuart, if you had some questions offhand or some feedback on this, because it relates to all of us. The next couple of weeks, we're actually going to be doing these kind of pitch competition. I know next week's going to be this kind of pitch competition that Tripty and John Pantages is going to be putting together. So I know this is going to be a theme moving up. But one of the things I wanted to ask you too is actually when you are actually talking about presenting, right? It goes back to getting ready, and maybe you kind of. But when I'm about to present, Briana, I'm kind of like this introvert. I get really nervous, right? But I do have a couple of things I do, like I pray, right? That's one of them. The other thing I actually always do is I usually get to the place I'm going to present early. So I feel like I'm in that space. So when we were pre-COVID, I would go to a place maybe 2 days ahead and just be and see the space, right? And that helped me out. And then I get there maybe an hour earlier before I have to present, so I can kind of see the stage and see where I'm going to sit. I do all these type of things to help me not be nervous about, and that's just my DNA. I get a little nervous before I have to present. Is there anything you do offhand before you present?
Yeah. So my checklist is a little silly.
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
So one, I don't know why, but I always have to put on extra deodorant. I probably put deodorant on 3 times before I leave, because I know I'm gonna get sweaty. I'm sweaty right now.
That's me.
Yeah. So I don't know why. Before I step into a place, or even before I open up my laptop, I just put on extra deodorant. It just makes me feel comforted. I know I don't smell like a camel. And then the other thing is I practice my presentation or my speech in the mirror to myself as I'm getting ready. So as I'm doing my hair or my eyeliner or whatever, I say everything out loud to myself. I know people say you're crazy if you're talking to yourself, but honestly, it helps me a lot with really, preparing my words and making sure that, I'm in line, I'm on track, I'm mentally prepared to go into anything. So
those are great. And we got a question from the cohort. Stuart, you can unmute yourself if you want. That's a great question.
Sure. So, on the subject of imposter syndrome, what are the most effective tips you've seen in regards to dealing with a lack of confidence for founders who are having a hard time transitioning into the executive role / position? That's my question.
So really, imposter syndrome, I think I battle with it as well, but it's really just having a true understanding of who you are and what your position is and what that entails. And just accepting it, because that is a piece of who you are now, right? And I feel like a lot of people are so busy combating that, but it's so much easier if you just take a deep breath and understand this is me, this is where I'm at, and this is who I am. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of I think it's conscious breathing, where I really sit and sort of meditate and just kind of, understand this is how I'm feeling right now, but this is what I have to do. So yeah, those are my tips. It's not anything, extravagant, or, I'm not gonna ask you to buy any books or anything, but just really just taking the time to breathe and connect with yourself.
That's great. Stuart said thanks.
I can add something to that too.
Yeah, Alex.
I love the idea of exposure that your dad did with you to take you to places that you weren't comfortable with.
Yes.
But we all struggle with imposter syndrome, and it's about just continuing to be exposed to different places. Even talking on the Zoom call, most of us don't want to talk. Most of us want to stay in the background. Most of us don't want to turn on our cameras. And then we finally do, and then somebody says hello. You're like, oh, okay, they see me. I'm already exposed. So So and
It's
for
good.
me, when I go speak and I get to a place where I'm nervous, I always go back to my successes in the past. I used to play football, and I used to block,
Ah,
and I used to and I would shake my head, and I would jump up and down, and I would imagine myself in the tunnel right
mm,
before kickoff.
I love it.
And it takes me back to a memory that I knew I was successful at, and I knew that I was going into battle, but I also knew that I was going to survive, and I was going to win, and I was going to have fun. And so it puts me into this fun state of mind
Love
that
it.
it's okay that there's going to be a battle, but it's going to be fun. And so that's interesting to think about. What are the places that we've had past successes so that we can move forward.
Oh man, I love that, Alex. I was thinking about that. What do you think about that, Brianna?
No, I love that. I think I'm gonna try and use that. Be like, okay, what are my happiest moments? What were my successes? And then I can remind myself that again, there are no defeats. Like there are
Yeah.
these big, huge high times, and it's really good to use those to your benefit too. So.
And it's really just, Brianna, it's just really two different dogs. One is the dog of fear, and the other one is dog of faith.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys talk about, praying that,
Yeah.
fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
And that dog is a heavy dog, and it starts to overwhelm us. It starts to weigh on us. And it starts to just scare us for performance. But faith is fantastic adventures and trusting Him.
Mm.
And the faith that we have that this is going to be fun, and I'm going to win, and I'm going to conquer this, and we're going to score. We're going to come home with a trophy. That's a different idea that will motivate us into getting excited about pitching or getting excited about presenting, because it's just a different mindset than fear, because that's what the imposter syndrome is that who are you to think about? Einstein was a baby at one time. Edison was a baby at one time. They were all imposters at one time. And if you remember that nobody's worthy, instead of I'm not worthy, nobody's worthy. And everybody's afraid, but we forget about that. So it's just it's exciting to move and transition from the employee mindset and the crowd mindset to the founder leader mindset. It continues to pull at you and to drag you back down. That who are you to think that you can be a founder or a leader or a business owner? And it's just baby steps every day.
I love it. Great. I see Stuart said wise words. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Brianna, any last final thoughts you have for everybody? I'm gonna let Professor Clark end it if there's so you can talk a little bit about Innovation Hub afterwards. But any final thoughts you would give your younger self, Brianna?
Yeah. If I were to talk to my younger self, I would just tell myself that no one knows this better than you do. No one knows your thought process better than you do. So talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it to everyone, because there are no defeats in this world. It's like Alex said, it's just a mindset. It's a mindset switch of just really understanding that everything is a win at the end of the day. So why not?
I love that. Thank you, Brianna, so much. This is really clear, and I love the lens you put on it. I'm thinking about. I've been thinking about what Alex going. He's going through the tunnel, like coming out, right?
Yeah.
So thanks, Alex, for some of those images. Professor Clark, and Sunny says she's proud of you, Brianna. That's your BFF.
Oh, thank you.
Professor Clark, I always end it with you with Innovation Hub, Cal State San Marcos. Again, I know you presented something at the beginning, but
well, I think I'll echo something that was said, and that's get involved, right? If you're a student, get involved on campus as much as you can with different organizations. But there are also lots of opportunities to get involved in the community. So if you're a community member, remember that there's a lot of events and activities and things going on all the time, and likely close to where you live. So get connected. The more you're connected, the more likely you are to succeed, because you can connect with the right types of resources for potential partners or customers or employees or funding. And so it's just something that's really important as an entrepreneur to think about is how do I build my network? And that's getting involved in the community that you're in. So that's what I'd echo. So thanks, Briana.
That's great, Professor Clark. Joanna, any final thoughts for anybody, for the group?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Great job. That was great. I had already had a little sneak preview from your professor, so I was excited to hear the talk. But I loved how Briana tied in, all of the lessons from Fokcus with all of her wisdom and her theater experience. It was great to sort of see all the little seeds that have been planted and how she incorporated everything together. And I'm totally going to research, like, how can we get some like monologue coaches to come help us at Fokcus.
Yeah, I think we got Briana. Briana can maybe do like a little session, a little workshop or something, right?
Yeah, book work. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it.
I mean, that's great. I never even heard some of those terms before, and I feel like that gives people like sometimes just the terminology doesn't resonate with people. Like you said, punchline instead of like one-liner or billboard, and I think like as long as it needs to be something that people can, that as founders that need to do the presentations to be able to grasp the concepts and understand like what actually is in that one-liner, and you broke it down with some some really concrete details, and I think that's great.
That's great.
If you just tell somebody you have to emotionally connect with someone, I think it's pretty abstract.
Yeah. So thank you, Joanna.
Great job.
Great work. Thanks, Alex, for coming too.
Yes.
Professor Clark, Sunny, Stuart, thanks for all the wisdom too and great questions, Joanna. So I'll see everyone next week. Pitch Perfect is going to be doing a little kind of pitch competition, and it should be interesting. They're going to be using their platform that kind of makes it a little bit unbiased pitch competition. So I think it's going to work well, Briana, with what you just talked about. Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk.
I know your TED Talk was like, it was amazing.
Great.
Amazing. And then Sunny, I will have Sunny stay on. Continue, Alex. Alex, I feel like Alex